morning. You're listening to Insurance Matchmaking, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance. And now, sharing his knowledge, here's your host, Matt Libby.
Good morning. Welcome back. Happy New Year. Insurance Matchmaking. This is our first program for the year. Flying solo again today. Hopefully, I think I've got a guest lined up for next week, but just kind of wanted to recap the year and kind of talk about things to expect this coming year. One of the biggies, haven't got the phone calls yet, but probably in the next week or so, but getting a bunch of the phone calls of, I went to the pharmacy and my prescription, it's not what I paid for it last month. And I have to remind people that that's a brand name drug and it's subject to the deductible. And it's going to cost you more the first month or two you fill it, depending on how much the cost of that brand name drug is. It's happened every year, so I'm almost positive it'll happen again this year. Somebody's going to call me and ask me why they're paying more. But it's not just the drug plans. All your deductibles on your health plans reset January 1st every year. Medicare is one of those biggies because most of your standalone drug plans are going to have a deductible, and it doesn't necessarily apply to all tiers. You know, your tier 1 and 2 are your generics, and a lot of times, even if they are subject to the deductible, the costs on those are low enough you don't really notice that cost difference. But when it's a $200, $300, $600, $1,000 brand name drug and you have to pay the first $545 of that, because that's what the deductible for Part D is for this year. So that hits people a little hard that first time to the pharmacy. So that could be a problem. The good news there also on the drug plan, those that do have a lot of brand names, and when I say the word don't, or not the word, but the phrase donut hole, they know exactly what I'm talking about. The good news is for some people that would hit that catastrophic phase previously and still have 5% they'd have to pay for the rest of the year, that's gone away. So if you have a lot of expensive drugs and you go through all the stages of the Part D prescription coverage, once you hit that catastrophic phase, there is no more copays. So no more cost sharing, so it'll be zero after that. So it's a little painful to get there because it's probably going to run you probably about $3,500 out of pocket and that's just the drug coverage. And again, folks, I'm just talking about the Medicare. This doesn't apply to your group plans or your ACA plans. Those are all that's all different. The other deductible that affects most people with Medicare is that Part B as in boy deductible, and for 2024 that's going to be $240. So that first trip to the doctor to get your refills, you're going to pay, you're going to pay for that office visit, or for most of that office visit, because you haven't hit your deductible yet for your Medicare supplements. Again, that's if you have original Medicare A and B with a supplement in a standalone Part D plan. This does not apply to your Medicare Advantage plans, also referred to as Part C. Now, but there are some resets there also. The maximum out of pocket, and that's a lot of people will refer to it as a deductible, but it's not a deductible, because deductible means you pay first before the insurance company pays anything, and the maximum out of pocket doesn't work that way. And it's the same. And maximum out of pocket, that is actually something that's consistent with all health plans, whether they're marketplace, whether they're employer plans, whether they're private insurance. Pretty much every plan out there is going to have a maximum out of pocket. And what happens on that maximum out of pocket is once you hit that, then the insurance company pays 100% for everything. So that's why sometimes people will refer to it as a deductible. But if you're paying copays for things along the way, then it's not a deductible. Even with the Medicare Advantage plans, a lot of them are $200 to $300 per day for those first few days in the hospital. Those copays go towards that maximum out of pocket. But once you've hit that max days, some plans it's 5 days, some plans it's 7 days that you have a daily copay, and then it covers 100% for that hospital stay, and you still haven't hit that maximum out of pocket. And that's what a lot of people think with a Medicare Advantage plan, that if you're in the hospital for a month and a half, you're going to hit that max out of pocket. And actually, no, you're not, because the hospital stay is capped at that 5 or 7 days, and then it's covered 100% by the insurance. So you haven't hit the maximum out of pocket unless you have a really low maximum out of pocket. But most plans are going to be, they're kind of averaging around $4,500 to $5,500, somewhere in there. They can be all the way up to, oh my gosh, I should have had that number in front of me. I think it's $9,450. Most plans aren't that high, but they are allowed to go that high. So if you're shopping for Medicare Advantage plans, that's one of the things you always want to look at is what's that maximum out of pocket. And it's a good comparison between that and the Medicare supplement. A lot of people will pick that Medicare Advantage because, it's a zero premium. It includes the drug coverage at no extra charge for the coverage. And I go to the doctor maybe once or twice a year. It's great value in that regard. And so why pay, $100, $120 for a Medicare supplement and another $20 to $30 for a drug plan when I can just get it for zero? So that is something that people will weigh, but that's also, watch out, don't get one that's got that, $8,000 or higher maximum out of pocket, because when you add up total payments on a for your drug plan and your Medigap plan, they're not going to equal that $8,000. The other thing is you are going to deal with networks. So that's a couple of things, just kind of reminding people about, those deductibles are starting over, those maximum out of pockets are starting over, new premiums. So that's kind of the start of the year. The other thing is, yes, we had our enrollment season there, kind of took a breather around Christmas, and now we're in the new year, and it's a new business year. And there are still opportunities to change health plans. I've been working several couples and families the last just the last week or so that either missed that December 15th deadline for their ACA plan or aren't happy with changes to the plan that they had, that the rates went up and things like that. So they're like, you know what, I want to change my plan. We had somebody in yesterday that changed their plan from one plan to another. And I had one of my longtime clients on the phone did the same thing. It was policy in the area they live, one of my East Tennessee clients, that the hospital is no longer in network with that plan, and some of the doctors in the health group that this person went to are no longer in that plan. So it made sense to change plans. She has that plan for this month, but it's going on February 1st. She'll be changing to another plan. So she's got coverage. She can go, her doctor was still in network, so that's good. She can go to the pharmacy, get her prescriptions filled. She's paying a little bit more than she was last year, and then we switched her to another plan that's going to be less than what she's paying for this month. So it's working out for her, and the fact that we had till January 15th to make that change, that helped out a lot also. So that's some of the things with the health insurance. The other is, like I said, we're in a new year. We're starting over. We got a lot of changes coming up. One of the things I put it out on my Facebook page, and I appreciate it if you go ahead and go to my business page, and it's very simple. It's Matt Libby Insurance. You can search that if you're on Facebook. And I've got a little contest going, but I need some group participation for anybody to even be eligible for. But it's just quick and easy. Click on the link. Go ahead and do a life insurance quote, and that'll get you entered in the contest. But I have to have so many entries to be able to make sense for me to pay it out. So, but the more entries we get, the higher the winnings can go also. So it doesn't cost you anything, no obligation. Just go online, click the link, and see if a plan that you were thinking about is as affordable or is more affordable than you thought it would be. And it's pretty simple, just takes a couple minutes. And also on that Facebook link is, if you also share that link, then we'll give you an extra entry into the contest to win the. We're going to just do some gift cards, and it's going to be based on, we have so many entries, and then you get your name, in the pool, and we'll do it random. I plan on doing like a Facebook Live or a YouTube video. I'm not sure exactly which way I'll do it, but I'll run a video, use a randomizer, and just assign everybody a number, so nobody watching the video is going to know who won, but we will let you know if you did win, and it could be a little fun. Like I said, it's not going to cost you anything, but it does help me get the word out. Also, just kind of pitch some more, Insurance Matchmaking, insurancematchmaking.com is the website for this program, and we are now putting these recordings also on YouTube. So you may be listening to me on a YouTube and not on the radio, which increases our reach. I also ask you, please go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Some of the YouTubes, if you watch them, they'll say, hey, before we get started, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video, click the little bell to get notifications when we post new videos. So they're not posted necessarily every week, but every week of these shows so far is posted. I believe we're up to date as of today. Actually, I take that back. I think last week's show, I didn't have that up yet. So, but pretty much all of December back to the first show are on YouTube. And please share those. Got a few notes in the topic, in the notes of it, so you can kind of see what we were talking about that day or who we were talking to. And you might go, oh, I think I know that person. I'm going to listen to that one. So, and again, if you know somebody you think would be a great guest on this show, please, go down to the website and suggest that, or give us a call at the office. You can do that. I am going to do a little teaser. We do have an announcement coming up. I haven't set the date for the announcement, but there's some big changes going on at the office of Matt Libby Insurance, and we'll keep you up to date on what those changes will be. But to keep you in suspense, so you'll keep checking back, we're going to wait a little bit to announce that. We're going to, as I said, we're doing some contests, and we're also looking for, maybe you know someone who would like to try their hand at being an insurance agent. Our office has grown from an agent of 1 in this last year to an agent of 3. I've had both Bree and Kalia on the radio here with me, so if you've listened to other shows or go back and listen, that they're on there, kind of get to know them. When you call the office, they're generally the ones who are going to answer the phone. There was a few times there actually during the open enrollment time that I was one who had to answer the phone because they both either were working with someone or they were on the phone with somebody. And there was a couple times there that phone calls went to voicemail because not one of the 3 of us was available to answer the phone right then. So great problem to have. We've been still fairly busy here starting into the new year. People needing to make changes to their plans. Some people, issues they're running into. Sometimes, hey, I didn't get my card. I've got a couple of issues to work on when I get to the office this morning that doesn't look like the person's being charged the right amount for their plan. I'm not sure what's happening there, but we'll get that straight. And then, so let us know what questions you have, what you'd like us to answer on the radio. The title of the show is Insurance Matchmaking. I don't always have insurance people on here. Sometimes it's people working with veterans. I do have a guest coming up. I'm not sure exactly when we're going to get her on the show, but works for one of our local home health agencies and has some programs to help veterans get their services. So I'm going to have her on here in the next couple of weeks, hopefully maybe in 2 weeks. And just really looking forward to introducing people to you that can help you. And also, anybody who's working with veterans or doesn't have to be veterans, but maybe you're part of a nonprofit and you'd like to get word out of what you're doing to help our community. Like I said, of course, being a veteran, I have that soft spot for veterans, but there's other things that people do to help our community and love to get that out to them, or things that are going on. And it could be scouting, it could be a children's program. So if you know somebody you think it would be great for me to have them on the radio, let's do that. Looks like we're at our first break here, and we'll take that break and be back here in just a couple minutes.
This is Marvin Long, your local Twin Lakes Business Solutions consultant. Between college visits, applications, and securing financial aid, we know that preparing for college can be stressful. That's why Twin Lakes is here to help. Twin Lakes is proud to partner with the Foundation for Rural Service to offer scholarship opportunities for graduating seniors. Visit twinlakes.net for more information. Don't wait. Applications must be submitted by February 16th, so apply today.
The Habitat Restore, your favorite home improvement store, is celebrating 15 years all month long. 15 years of donating and shopping to help build affordable homes in your community. This Saturday, you're invited for special sales events, plus a cookout to say thank you. There will be huge savings on doors, siding, carpet, furniture, books, housewares, something for every room in your home. Don't miss out on the Habitat Restore 15th year celebration this Saturday just off North Washington on East 15th Street in Cookeville. And check them out online at pcrestore.org.
And now, back to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby Insurance.
All right, and welcome back to Insurance Matchmaking. And if you're just now tuning in, I don't have a guest with me today, so just kind of be me rambling on. I talked about in the first segment about how the deductibles and max out-of-pocket and those kind of things reset. Most people are looking at different premiums on their plans this year. regardless of what kind of plan you have, there's usually going to be some premium changes or some copay changes. So if you didn't catch what those were going to be ahead of time, or we didn't get a chance to go over that during the enrollment time, you can still call us up. Even if you're not my client, if you got questions about your plan, we're happy to help you on that and get answers for you. Sometimes people signed up over the phone, called those infamous 800 numbers or something, and we can't become your agent if you're keeping the same plan, but sometimes when we reevaluate what your plan coverage is, or maybe your doctor's leaving network, so it might make sense to change your plan, and depending on if you have a valid enrollment period at this time to do that, we can get your plan changed, and then we will be your agent, and you've got that go between you and the insurance company, and not have to deal sometimes with those foreign call centers that they've outsourced their customer service to. So it helps to be able to give us a call. A lot of times I know the answer. It's funny, people will call me, they got this pressing question and they think it's so unique and it's only them. And I know what their question is before they finish asking it, just by how they kind of start out the question. And again, a lot of it says those things like deductibles. I'll get another set of calls probably, early to late summer, and I've talked about that Part D donut hole, and usually that's what the case is. They've got a brand name drug, they've been paying so much for it, and they've been doing 3-month supply, and so they didn't hit the gap until they go to get that second refill 6 months into the year, and the price is like tripled because now they're having to pay 25% of the cost instead of just a fixed copay, and they're just not ready for it, even though it was the same last year, or we went over that. When we signed them up saying, okay, you're going to experience that. We cover that in every presentation when we're enrolling somebody new to a Medicare plan, that, their drug coverage, they could be subject to that coverage gap. And a lot of times, if they only have one or two little generics that doesn't cost hardly anything, we'll kind of go over it quicker, or they don't register that it's important, but I always try to remind them, hey, if you get a brand name prescription, this could come into play. One of my favorite things to say is, if you see your drug, your prescription advertised on TV, expect to hit that donut hole or coverage gap. That's why they're advertised on TV, because they're expensive and they want you to ask your doctor for them, because those are the ones that cost a lot of money, so they need people to get them prescribed. But a lot of times you may have something that is similar and it's a generic, and you don't need that brand name. If that generic doesn't seem to be working anymore, that's when those brand names a lot of times come into play, or some conditions of, hey, now there is a medicine for that, where before you were just suffering with it. So now instead of suffering with it, you suffer less, but you're paying more. So it's a trade-off. And of course, remember, they have a mile-long list of side effects. I get a kick out of there's one out there for the ladies that are experiencing the hot flashes, and one of the side effects of the drug to help with the hot flashes is hot flashes. So I'm not really sure how that medicine is supposed to work if one of your side effects is what you're taking the medicine for. So I don't know. Talk to your doctor. I'm not a doctor. The other one I get a kick out of is, don't take this if you're allergic to it. Well, if you've never taken it before, how do you know if you're allergic to it? I understand saying, hey, if you're allergic to, they say, don't take this shot if you're allergic to eggs, because egg whites were used in the manufacture of that vaccine. Well, that makes sense. But most of these medications, you don't know if you're allergic to something in it unless you really know that mile-long word that's used in a lot of prescriptions you're allergic to, and to look for that. So, but they got to do all those disclaimers. Those are always fun. So, as I mentioned earlier, we do have special enrollments that might apply. We not in our county here, but in some of the counties, Davidson County, Montgomery, some of the areas where the tornadoes hit last month, there is a Medicare special enrollment period for people who might have needed to make a change during that time frame and weren't able to, and especially after the tornado hit, that maybe that might have affected their enrollment. So there's some people we can help with that, and there's other special enrollments that come about, and obviously anybody turning 65 are always have those options. Now, one of the things I mentioned about turning 65, I've been doing the workshops for those that are turning 65. I've changed what marketing company I'm using on that. I'm still going to be doing those, still scheduling them, still ironing out some dates, hopefully to have a couple dates here locally in January. Definitely going to have some in February. It might take me a little bit to get some of the publicity and mailers out for those, because usually what we do is we get a list of people who are turning 65 in the next few months and send them a postcard inviting them to the event. So we don't have time right now with making that change to get postcards out to people for a January event, so we probably will start the postcard portion for February. But stay tuned. Check out the YouTube. Check out my Facebook page. So we will get that schedule out for those Medicare workshops. You can always call our office, 865. I don't know why I've been doing that lately. That used to be my old phone number, 931-881-3969. That's the office number here in Cookeville. And when we have those dates set, we'll have that set up. The other thing is, you're more than welcome. It's not our busier time of year. If you just want a one-on-one appointment, come into the office and sit down with me and have me go over those differences of Medicare, I'm more than happy to do that. I have a lot of folks sometimes I'll get a lot of calls and it's funny. It's kind of like this time of year, because it's like, well, we're in a new year. We just did our open enrollment, and I'm turning 62, or I turned 63 last year, and I'm thinking about retiring, maybe starting my Social Security. So those are some things people, the other thing we'll get is somebody who's worked for somebody all year, and then they get their W-2 and go, oh, that's all I made last year. I probably could make more on my own doing the same thing I'm doing and start my own business. And then they realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to have to get my own health insurance if I switch. So I'll have people that'll come in and just want to kind of do the math to see what they're facing if they do go ahead and retire early or leave that job that does have benefits and go out on their own in their business. In a lot of ways, it's more affordable than a lot of people think. The way the healthcare marketplace works is it's based on your income, and you get what's called an advanced tax credit, which helps you pay your premium. So when you're working for an employer and you get a W-2, it's going to ask for your gross income. So if your gross income in that job was $60,000, and it puts you where you're maybe not making a very good tax credit for you and your spouse. So a lot of people think, well, I'm going to go out on my own and I'm going to charge, $200 less for the job that I charge them when I work for my employer. So I'm going to make that much money. And they're looking at it as they're still making $60,000. I'm self-employed, been self-employed now for 10 years as a 1099 independent agent and working on that commission base. And as a self-employed business, have a lot of expenses, and a lot of those expenses are tax deductible. So those are some things to take into consideration if you're thinking about going in business for yourself and what your income's going to be, because revenue and income are not the same thing. And so you may have $60,000 to $80,000 of revenue doing some type of contractor job, but when you take out all your expenses, you're maybe making, your net income might be $20,000. Well, $20,000 for a couple puts you in a really good shape for getting tax credits to help you pay for your health insurance. So it's different animal if you're self-employed. The other thing is those that are already self-employed and they've avoided the healthcare marketplace because their income was above that 400% cap above the poverty level, and so they weren't eligible for a tax credit. So a lot of people avoided that, or they were close to it, and we were worried about, well, if I make I make $1,000, $2,000 more than I estimate, now I'm no longer eligible for a tax credit that I'm not going to be able to go through the marketplace. It would be totally unaffordable. With the Inflation Reduction Act, that 400% cap was removed. Now, there is still a cap if you go over a certain income that you're no longer eligible for tax credit. But what happens is as your income goes up, that tax credit would go down, and it goes down a nice gradual slope. But the problem was when we had that 400% cap, when you hit that mark, the bottom dropped out. It's kind of like I compare it to like if you're going swimming like at a lake and you walk out, 20 yards and the water's waist deep, and you're thinking, well, I'm going to go out a couple more steps to get a little bit deeper, and you take that step and the water's now over your head because you dropped off of that edge. That was the way the tax credit worked for a lot of people, and so a lot of people have avoided the marketplace because they were in those mid $60,000 for their as a couple, and it just was going to be unaffordable because they went from getting a $1,600 a month tax credit to no tax credit whatsoever, and so then when they found that out when they filed their income tax. Had a couples in the last couple of years that decided to take some money out of the retirement fund to buy a truck, didn't want to carry debt on it, and just said, I'll pay the tax on that and pay a little bit more for my health insurance this year. So we estimated the income at $150,000. They still got a tax credit. It was considerably less than what it was when we were computing the income, estimating the income at $65,000, but there still was a tax credit, so they weren't going to owe everything back, and I think their income ended up being a little bit less than that $150,000, so they probably still got a little bit back at the end of the year. The other was we did a quote last month for a couple, and they estimated their income at over $200,000. They were still eligible for a tax credit. So if you've been avoiding looking at a marketplace plan because your income is between $70,000 and $100,000, and that makes it unaffordable, it might be affordable. Give us a call. Let us check that out. We have until actually the 16th. I started to say the 15th. That's the normal end, but the 15th, that's a Monday. That's going to be Martin Luther King Day. So since that is a federal holiday, the marketplace enrollment is not going to end until January 16th. So we have a couple of weeks here, a little over a week and a half right now from when you hear this, we could still get you a marketplace plan. So don't delay that, because once that deadline hits in the middle of January, it is going to be gone, and you're not going to qualify for open enrollment. There could be some other circumstances for a special enrollment, but the open enrollment is not going to be available to you. So give us a call. Let's see. We've got some forms. If Kalia or I or Bree answer the phone and say, hey, we've got a couple forms we want to send, a couple links for some forms you fill out. One is our client information sheet. Gives us all the basic details we need. We need names, ages, birth dates, income, all that to figure out what's the best plan for you. The other one is CMS, since June, has required us to show proof that we have your permission to work on a marketplace plan for you. So we just ask you to click that link and sign that form online, and then we have basically a hard copy of consent, and it's good for a year for us to be able to help you with your health insurance. So until next week, like I said, hopefully I'll have a guest here, and tune into Insurance Matchmaking. Go to insurancematchmaking.com if you have suggestions for the show, and we'll talk to you next week. And again, Happy New Year.
You've been listening to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance.